Hello and welcome to another Wise Gamer video. In this video I'm going to be going over Dragon Quest V for the PlayStation 2 emulator. I'm using the ever popular Pcsx2 to play this game. I do have the actual disc for this game that I just uh, burnt and made an ISO file of to play it on my computer system, seeing that my PlayStation 2 that's actually hooked up to my television no longer works. So I've been doing a lot of emulating with the disc that I have with the PSX2. Okay, now with this game right here, I know that there's a lot of issues with this game. Trying to get this thing to work in your PSX2 or any kind of PlayStation 2 emulator that you may be using. Now, I did get mine to finally work after doing tons of research and things like that, and I want to kind of pass that information along to you guys so you can enjoy this great Japanese RPG game. Okay, let me see how I want to start this here. I think what we're going to cover first is translation. Okay, now we know that this game, the biggest problem with this game is that it's usually in Japanese. They never really released an English version as far as I know. So a lot of times you have to translate, you have to use a translation um, project or program to make this game so that it shows up in English so you can understand it while you're playing it. And that's the first thing I'm going to go over first. I don't know if I got lucky with my disc, but my disc, I actually bought it at a flea market. Somebody was selling their games, their used games. And when I bought this disc, it did say on the actual copy that it was in Japanese. And so I bought it anyways, figuring that I could I could find out a way to turn it into English. But I ended up getting lucky because my game ended up, I did download when I'm getting ready to show you guys, and I did try using it, but I don't think it did anything, to be truthfully honest with you. I'm really not going to go through the steps of translating this. Number one, I've never really done translations before in games. This was the first time I actually used one. And it seemed like that it didn't really do anything anyways. But it seemed like it worked for other people, and it does come with the instructions when you download this. And I did check it, it's virus free, and it's from a legitimate website that most people have been getting the translation from. So let me just slide that over so you guys can see it, and it's right here. Okay, let me blow that up a bit. And you just come here, and there's two different links to download this from. Okay, and one says DW style, one says DQ style, and I thought the difference was one meant Dragon Warriors and one meant Dragon Quest, so I downloaded the DQ one. Um, but I ended up reading that the only difference between the two is that the spells in the game, or like the weapons, just may be named a little differently from each other. Besides that, it doesn't really matter which one you get, as far as I know. But I did go with DQ, like I said, because I thought that that meant more for Dragon Quest. Okay, and I will provide the link to this website in my description, and just download it, and then extract it. You're going to need to extract it. And once you extract it, it's gonna give you the game manual that actually is the manual for the actual game. It's going to have a manual in there of how to use this translator. Okay, so just read those instructions and follow them, and you should be able to get yours to patch up as far as that goes. Now, mine, when I did go to load it, it was showing in English automatically, and it did say at the beginning of my game that it was translated already. So I don't know what's going on there. That's the way I bought the copy, and it seems to be working. But I did have a lot of crashes with the actual game itself with the emulator, just like a lot of people claim that they had. And these are the steps that I took to fix that, and I'm now into the game a couple of hours, and I'm not having any more issues, knock on wood. And always make sure that you keep saving the game as much as you can, to eliminate going way back and starting the game all over again. So these are the steps I use. Let me just open up my emulator, and I'll show the steps that I use to get this working. Here is our emulator, and the first thing you want to do is go to config right up here. And in emulation settings, click on speed hacks and check this where it's off. You don't want to enable speed hacks for this game. Okay, a lot of people claim that they think that this is the culprit behind what was causing their issues. Mine was a little bit deeper than just this, because even when I did this, I still had the issue. Okay, but just make sure that this is unchecked where you have it shut off and you're not using it. Once you've done that, you're just going to go back to config, and you're going to want to mess with the video and the audio for this. Now, the audio in this game causes a lot of issues too, because if you try to run this game without the audio, the game's not going to work because it's still part of the actual program, which is the game. Okay, so you need all this stuff to work to eliminate these crashes and bugs and things like that. So first we're going to go to video, right? And what I did here was basically I had I was using, for all my other games, I was using this one right here called the Direct 3D9 hardware. Okay, so I ended up using software. Now, before I switched to software, I couldn't even get the game to load at all. Every time I went to load the game, it just crashed and just kept crashing and just kept crashing. And I did read somewhere, try to put it on software. So if you have these options like I do in my emulator, try to use one that says software next to it, not hardware. Okay, and once I did that, I was able to get the game to load where I saw the credits at the beginning and things like that for me. Okay, so just make sure that you use, in my case, I'm using the Direct 3D9 software. Now, if you don't have all these options or BIOS or whatever you want to call them, you're just going to have to, I don't know, Google around and try to find them, you know. But the software is the one that made mine at least past the issue that I had at the very start of the game. Okay, then the next issue I had was when it came up to you're going to get this screen, which I'm going to open up the game and we'll go through these steps together with the game too, so you know what I'm talking about. But when I went to get to the part of the screen where it asks you to make a save for the first time you're playing the game, it's going to have the save screen, continue save, and all that stuff, right? And that screen, what was happening to me was every time I went into that screen, I was getting a high-pitched squeal sound, okay? And I'm like, man, this isn't good, you know? But then once I got past that point, I was still able to load the save, right? I was still able to get into the game, and then the squeal would stop. But I've done more research about that, and I found out that if that squeal is happening, you are going to have issues as you're playing the game, which I did have. Okay, so now we have to change our audio settings for that. And for the audio, what I did was that I just went to let me see, in this one, how do you change the audio? Oh, that's right, you have to go back to this. Audio, you have to go to config and go to plug-in BIOS selector. Okay, and it's going to do this. Okay, and over here is all your different BIOS, your video, your audio, your gamepad, USB, driver, all that stuff. This is where you could change them with the other ones that are preloaded already in your Pcsx2. Okay, so for the audio one, you go over here where it says like SPU2. Okay, and you just click over here and it should have all the ones that you have built into the Psx2. All right, now originally mine was set for all the other games, it was set to the top one here. Okay, and anytime I was using that top one, that's when I was getting that high-pitched squeal. When I tried this other one over here, that's not quite as long, it's called the SPU2-X. Okay, when I used that one, the squeal stopped. I didn't have the squeal anymore. So I'm like, oh, beautiful. And there was one part in the game which I read that a lot of people on the forums was having trouble with too. That when they came out to the first town, and the father, called Papa, gave him the map, that the game would just freeze up and you couldn't do anything and you had to start the game over. That is due to this. That's in conjunction with this, believe it or not, with your sound card. Okay? So once I changed this, it did pause a little bit. I thought it stuck again, but then the game ended up continuing, and everything ever since then has been working fine for me in the game. And then once you start hitting the towns, you could start saving the game. So if it does crash, you could always go back to the last save, and then hopefully get through with a stuck-free game. So basically, I just changed this to this option right down here, and it's been working fine for me. Okay, so you just got to try these different ones and see what works for you. Okay, so now we could see that I got the game working. This is at the start of the game, and let me just go through everything. Now I'm going to do this one with the game sound on so that we could see that the game sound is working and it sounds correct now. And the next screen here is the one where it would do that high-pitched squeal after a minute. Okay, so I'm going to let it run for a couple of minutes and we'll see if it still sounds all right. If you hear this music, that usually means that you're okay. Okay, and we could see now I'm not getting that high-pitched squeal sound since I changed my my BIOS for the audio. Okay, and then we're just going to continue, and we could see everything's in English. How I got that, I don't know, because I even took that program right out of my computer system. So it's definitely not that. I guess somehow this disc that I bought, maybe they did release some that the company actually translated over into English. I'm not 100% sure, but I've read that most of the discs out there are still in Japanese, and you got to use that program to translate it over. Okay, so we're going to start from here, and we could see that this is pretty much good to go. I forgot to see how many hours I got into the game, but I'm only about level am I? I'm level 5. So it goes to show you I'm still at the start of the game here. But we see that we do have it working. I've fought many a times already. And in this game, the levels don't come quick, and it doesn't tell you what your next level is. You just gotta kind of just keep fighting or grinding and hope to get those levels up. Okay, I'm not really going to go over the game too much right now in this video. This was basically to deal with the fixes in the game and the issues, and I'm probably going to have a follow-up video pretty soon of the actual game itself. And until then, thanks for watching Wise Gamer. I hope this works out for you. You guys have a great day, and we'll catch you later. Take care. Bye-bye.